Afghan Americans. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Atta Arghandiwal.
Thank you very much, Yasif John. Very impressive. Very proud to be here alongside. But let me first thank the organizers of this wonderful event. I don't want to forget any names, but the few that I can remember, Osman John, Matin John, Yama John, and I knew all of the others, the young talents that have organized this event, so we really appreciate it and much needed. We really need to do this. We need to mobilize our communities. We need to mobilize our Afghans, especially the younger generation behind. So when I heard about this event and when I was bestowed the honor to be here, part of the discussion along with accomplished individuals like Tamim John and Fariba in writing these books and the history and the knowledge that they have, I of course accepted it with great pride. But also, let me welcome you all here to the event tonight, and hopefully this will be a great event, and again, thanks to the organizers. There is so much to be said about Afghanistan, of course. When it comes to Afghanistan, there's just so much to be said. But the theme tonight is really the one that really resonates, and something that we need to explore. We need to go beyond and understand what's happening. So, for myself, and the reason why I wrote this book, I always wanted to write, but I never thought that I was a good writer. I just didn't think I had the talent to write, because that's not what I did. I'm by profession a banker. I spent about 30 years in banking, professional services, in leadership, in development. But all these years it's been hurting. I've been hurting to talk about the real Afghanistan. The real Afghanistan. Again, not what we see, not the images that you see on TV and the blurbs. But in even speaking with our children and everybody, I've been always talking about the real Afghanistan, the real traditions, the untouched traditions, the pride, the glory, the beauties of the past. So, and then I said, how can I contribute with everything that has occurred all these years? And I said, I want to do something for our people. But I started to think about writing things in terms of business, support, economics. And I said, I can do that, and I will do that. But at the meantime, there is something that I wanted to tell. I wanted to do my part in telling the Afghan story. And I called it the Untold Afghan story. Well, my story is not the only untold Afghan story. There are so many great stories out there. I think the stories of other Afghans, my story pales to what is out there, honestly. Because there's a lot of great stories, but I called it the Untold Afghan story. So I wanted to focus on exactly what the theme of the event tonight is, to bring us back. I could do a political book. I could do I would say, an opinion book about everything that I've witnessed. I've seen it all too, just like many others. But the more I thought about it, I said, I think there will be so many pieces that I want to touch on in the innocence of a nation. And ultimately, as I went through those discussions, and I said, somebody advised me, and he said, there's nothing wrong with writing it in a form of a memoir. But I said, then it will become about Atta. And the person said, no, it's not about you. And I want you to know that this book is not about Atta. Yes, it's my life story, but as I became the storyteller of people, of an amazing nation, of an innocent nation. As a matter of fact, when I went through the whole book title search and said, what do we want to do? I wanted to call it The True Culprits. I wanted to call it different things. I wanted to call it like In Search of Answers. But then there was this lady who's married to one of my best friends, Asghar Nawroz. His wife said, everything that she heard during a research conversation with her, she said, this is Atta, this is loss of innocence. This is about loss of decency. And there came the name, Lost Decency. And that's what it's all about. We're talking about a nation that was just absolutely a wonderful place. And I tell this because I want the younger generation to know that we've been victimized and that we have lost our innocence in many ways. There are a lot of great people, of course, but what happened to all these people? What happened to all these superpowers? What happened to all the nations that brought all the miseries to un-Afghan people? I said, how can I explore that? So we call it Lost Decency, and that's what it's all about. But in essence, what I wanted to do is to format the book in three parts, if you will. What Afghanistan was, what happened when it's headed. So what it was again, an absolute wonderful place. And I will tell you the best way to explore that and to learn more about is the work of our wonderful distinguished friend here, Tamim Ansary. Pick up his book, read it, because not you only will understand the history of Afghanistan, but also the way it's written, what basically resonates with the current reader's mind so that you can understand exactly what's happening. It's the analysis of what has happened. So I wouldn't say too much about what Afghanistan really was. But all I remember during high school days, during times and on my upbringing, it was an amazing, amazing nation. I just don't know, I don't think there will be enough time to talk about the accomplishments of all of these people that had so much to do with the goodness inside Afghanistan. I don't know, we can probably run out of time to just name the people that had so much to do with the character of that nation. How was it possible that a nation of so many ethnicities were working and living so peacefully together? What was that? How was it, and who was responsible for all of that? Which leader did accomplish the goal of really keeping these people together and so energized, so proud, so respectful? What was it? And that's what I want people to go back to. So read, understand what it was. Because we cannot run. Let me just connect this to today's situation, where there will be some even Afghans, where the word Afghanistan, when the discussion comes out, they will turn away. What a mistake. Because we need to learn what Afghanistan was all about. It was a proud nation. We were a proud people. We got to go learn back again, dig in to understand what it was and what we are talking about as the older generation. The younger should understand what it's all about. So that's what I wanted to capture, but I did that through stories. And I think the best way for me to explain it, that's the way to do it. So I went back and did that. So I wrote it from 10 years old all the way to the time of, it was really glory days, peaceful times. What about the time where the killing of a person inside Afghanistan would be mourned all over the country? What about the time when my father will ask us to go to masjid because somebody has been killed in a village inside a remote area of Afghanistan? This is no exaggeration. That's how rare killing was. We didn't have people on the streets lying down there without a shelter. They would have a place, they would have a home. Today we have millions out there, and the world is watching. And that's what I wanted to do, to capture this. And the times when we were living together in Sharara, just like most other places inside that country, where every neighbor, there was a Panshiri, there was a Kandori, there was a Jalalabadi, you name it, we were right there. That's what was Afghanistan. That's what we remember. That's what we should go back to. We should never allow these people or these culprits today that talk about the variations and the groups and this again, that. And I want to take these people back to those days and say, this is what it was, my friend. This is what Afghanistan was all about. This is the Afghan pride. And today they're damaging They're causing a lot of damage, and they're hurting our society. They're hurting our people, but we cannot and should not allow them. Please do not allow them. And the way to do that is let's read, let's understand, let's teach our children, because all of us are associated with the word Afghanis in Afghani. We are. We cannot run away from it. Our children cannot run away from it. The next generation and the next one will be called Afghan Americans. It will be there. So why not learn? Why not understand? Why not be proud and go back to what it was? It's very difficult. It's challenging to go back to that time. But that's again the reason what I'm trying to do is to give you the rationale for why I wrote this book in the manner that I did. So we talked about what Afghanistan was. What happened was a disaster, absolute disaster. Again, it happened to an innocent nation. But I remember the day when in Nawa High School, we were sitting there just as youngsters trying to just find a way to get out. And, again, events happened. Communism came in. And then things turned around. You can read that out and I'll speak about that. And then, but what I did with the last part of the book, which is, again, what happened to Afghanistan and where it's headed. And I went back. I went back in January of 2011. And it was really beyond imagination of what I saw. And the amount of damage that has been done to a just innocent nation. And that's why we need to do our part, all of us, to stand up to the antagonist. We have to stand up for the innocents. We have to actually stand for the innocent people of Afghanistan, for those children, for women that are suffering. But let's do that through understanding, by reading, but also talking and not getting away from the subject, because that's ultimately what it's all about. So that's the reason for myself writing that book. And again, I have much more to do, I wish to do, hopefully for the people of Afghanistan and our people here. But I'm just very happy that this opportunity and the dialogue like today that allows us to get together and to talk about what really happened. And not only that, but it's what can we do from here on? How can we bring our people together? How can we really motivate our children to become really the best? And therefore, how can we really tell the world that it's not okay to be known as a nation of a corrupt nation? It's not okay to be known as an opium-producing nation. There is no pride in that. Where pride is the way that Afghanistan was. And that's why if we go back and connect to the past, I'm sure we can accomplish that goal and start to be proud and to talk about and become the best model citizen that we can, no matter where we are. And that's, again, the purpose of the book. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I'm sure we'll discuss further with questions that will come up. But in essence of time and interest of time, I will just turn it back to Asif John. Thank you.